Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to our New York Islanders franchise mode here in NHL 25. So in last episode, we had the trade deadline and simulated the rest of the season, and we have made the playoffs with a 51-26-5 record. Now, it was a really good season for this team. We also did make some pretty interesting adjustments to our roster, like we added some couple of players to our roster to hopefully give us a better chance in the playoffs, and I think this roster definitely is better than it was last year, but at the same time, who knows how good it's actually going to simulate in the playoffs, because usually when you make your team better, it seems like it doesn't end up doing anything. But we end up bringing in Nicholas Aube-Kubel to basically bolster our fourth line right wing spot. Originally, we had Matt Maggio in this spot, and he was like a 78, so Aube-Kubel came in from the New York Rangers. Did okay, I would say. 5 points isn't too bad for a fourth line kind of guy. He was a +1 as well, so helped out with the defensive side of things. So hopefully he has a good playoffs ahead of him. Hopefully he can play good defensively down there. And then we also brought in, surprisingly, this one I wasn't planning to do, was bringing in Drew Doughty from the Nashville Predators of all teams. Now, Drew Doughty basically replaced Scott Mayfield. Scott Mayfield was playing really good defensively in his first half of the season, so it was a little bit of a move I wasn't really planning, like I said, to do, but I think it does give us a bit of a stronger defensive core. If Doughty doesn't simulate good defensively in the playoffs so far, though, we'll probably go back to Mayfield on that top six pairing, but I think it just gives us a little bit more options on the defensive side of things, which I like. Also, if we run into even more problems, though, we do have other guys we could call up, because we did send Ryan Johnson down to the AHL, so Ryan Johnson could come back up here potentially if we get into defensive trouble. But I think our roster is pretty damn deep. Like, we have a lot of good players on this roster. We have some guys we could call up in the AHL as well, so it's probably the best this roster's ever looked, and hopefully we are able to do some good damage here in the playoffs this year. Hopefully we can make it at least as far as last year, so the Stanley Cup Finals again, because anything short of that is probably going to feel like a bit of a bummer. But I think this team is definitely close to winning a Stanley Cup, but will they win another Stanley Cup? It really depends, I guess, on the simulation, because there's a lot of other good teams in the league at this point in time, so it is going to be a tough task regardless for us to win a Stanley Cup. Last year, we had to go through the Toronto Maple Leafs in the conference finals, and that was actually a really tough series for our team to go up against a team like that. But you can see the teams that are playing in this playoffs, like in the Eastern Conference alone, Toronto's a good team. Ottawa probably should have a good team, I would assume, at this point. Tampa's probably going to be the weakest, I feel like, of the bunch. I don't really know too sure, though. Pittsburgh and Washington are interesting. Florida's obviously really good. We saw that last year. Them and Toronto are usually like the top two teams in the league, and it seems like. And then obviously the Boston Bruins, who we're going up against in the first round, are actually really strong as well. They finished with 50 wins this season, and they're 9-1 in their last 10 games going into the playoffs. So let me show you guys what their roster's looking like again, just in case you forgot. Now, they do have a lot of similar faces to what they do in real life right now, but they've added some pretty nice pieces like Teuvo Teravainen on that third line, and Nino Niederreiter on that third line as well. Like Trent Fredericks up to an 87 overall, so they have fantastic center depth. They have also very good winger depth. So yeah, just on the offensive side of things, this is a very, very nice team. Riley Smith's also back there again. So yeah, very good offensive core. The defensive core has a pretty good top two pairing. Second pairing, I would say, is pretty good. The top six pairing is a little bit on the weaker end of things, because I'd say Kalen Addison, he's not really a guy that could actually play defensively. He's good offensively, but not great defensively. And then you have Mason Lohrei beside him. So that pairing is not as good, obviously, as the top four. But they do have the good goaltending with Jeremy Swayman as an 86 and Korpisalo, who's an 83 in this, despite actually being not a great goaltender sometimes in real life. And their depth forwards and depth defenders aren't bad either, with Cale Fleury and Christian Dvorak. So I think this is definitely going to be a tough task for our team, but it wasn't going to be an easy road regardless. We have to basically, I would say, contain guys like Pastrnak and pretty much anybody on their forward group for that matter, because a lot of them are threats. I can see probably why they allowed a lot of goals, because they have a lot of high-end offensive talent, but I definitely think they could simulate good defensively too when they have a good goaltender like Swayman, when they have defenders like McAvoy and Lindholm. So very excited to see what ends up happening in this first round. Hopefully we're able to get ourselves to that next round as well. But anyways, before we get into this first round matchup with the Boston Bruins, let's get into the one and only comment we got in last episode, which is from Saturn Otaku. He says, seeing Saros traded and Forsberg on the block was funny considering Nashville's current struggles in real life. I expect the first round to be a special teams battle. Hope your crew is up to the challenge. And yeah, it is going to be a bit of a special teams battle, because if we go on over here, you see below me, basically The Boston Bruins were very good in terms of power play and penalty kill. We weren't, on the other hand. So basically, we need to play way better than we did on those special teams, or else we're going to have a bit of a trouble. So hopefully our special teams are up for the task to basically try and shut down guys like Pastrnak and all that who are on their power plays. So actually, I don't know who's on their power play unit. So let's take a look at what their power play is set up like. And then hopefully our penalty kill is up to the challenge, basically. Lindholm, Pastrnak, Zacha, Carrier, and McAvoy. I'm kind of surprised that Carrier's on this unit. I would have assumed, like, if I was running this unit, I would have put probably Pastrnak on the point. But maybe they have a balanced kind of approach. Wow, I'm kind of surprised they don't even have Hampus Lindholm on the power play. That's kind of interesting, because Hampus Lindholm's one of their best defensemen, but their second unit has Geekie, Teravainen, Coyle, Riley Smith on the point, and Kalen Addison's getting some power play time. Okay. I kind of understand what they're doing, but I'm kind of surprised that Hampus Lindholm isn't there. And then their penalty killers, Lindholm and Geekie, McAvoy, Lindholm. That's a really good one. What about the second unit? Frederick and Niederreiter, Zadorov and Carrier. That unit might take a little bit more penalties just because Frederick's more aggressive. Zadorov obviously is. So maybe we could get them into a bit of penalty trouble because of that. Coyle, Zacha, Addison, Leroy. That's probably the unit to take advantage of. Coyle and Zacha are decent defensively, but Addison and Leroy, like I said, they're definitely not the highest end defenders on this team. So hopefully we can take advantage of them in those type of areas and find a way to win. But let's get into this first round matchup and see if this team is able to continue its success from the regular season. We finished with 51 wins. Hopefully we could win another 16 more games. All right, let's go on over to the calendar, and then let's move my face down here as it loads up, and let's get into this first round matchup, first game. It's kind of nice that we have home ice advantage, but honestly, against any team in the Atlantic, you never know how good they're going to simulate, because we know Toronto and Florida are going to be good. Boston's pretty good from that Atlantic. I would assume Ottawa and Tampa must be good as well, considering they've had 5 teams make the playoffs, but it's definitely going to be a very tough task for us to probably get back to that Cup Finals again, but hopefully we could do it. Dallas obviously beat us last year, and they're in the Western Conference playoffs right now, so who knows, maybe it could be a rematch of last year again, but I doubt that's going to be the case. Anyways, game number 1 on home ice. Let's see what ends up happening, if we're going to have to make any adjustments early on or not. Hopefully we get good goaltending again from Sorokin like last year in the playoffs, because he was really good for us, and we had a chance to win almost every game he played. First period, game number 1. 2-1 Bruins, not ideal. Miles Wood's the first scorer for us, which is kind of surprising, but that's good to see at least that we're getting goal scoring from other lines. But Zadorov and Lassell have their goals. Now, one thing about Sorokin is I remember last year, I think there was a couple games where he was giving up goals early on, but then he starts to play good in the second and third period, so hopefully that's one of these games. Shots are pretty even, goals are pretty even. We're down by 1 in shots and goals, so who knows, maybe we could come back in the second period. Hopefully we can find a way to tie it. Hopefully Swayman isn't going to just out-goalie Sorokin in the series. Second period, 3-3. There's a good period, so that's a great response. Basically, after they did 2-1 to us, we did 2-1 to them. So Brock Nelson, after a really good regular season, he actually led the team in points, which was kind of a surprise. He gets a power play goal early on. Riley Smith then ties the game, or actually takes the lead back for the Bruins, I should say. Anton Frundell, though, with a huge goal. So Frundell continuing off of his great regular season as well. Shots are 27-24 in favor of the Bruins. It's a 3-3 game. Can we find our first lead of the night in this third period? Because we have not had the lead so far. Let's see what happens in this final 20 minutes, potentially. Could be a game that goes to overtime, too. Who knows? Trent Frederick gets the Bruins back the lead, but we get a shorthanded goal right back from Parson, and that's a big goal. Nice to get a shorthanded goal against a good power play team. Power play for us, we don't score on it. Final 5 minutes of this third period, tied at 4. Are we going to overtime in game 1? No, we might not be. Brock with a late goal, and that is the game winner. We get the lead for the first time in the final 2 minutes. And we take game 1. Brock Nelson with a great performance again. Yeah, Brock Nelson's been probably the team MVP this season for the most part, just because his stats during the regular season were fantastic. And then obviously he's starting off this playoffs with a 2-goal performance. But a huge shorthanded goal from Parson in there. Because if we gave up a power play goal there, then we would have definitely lost that game. But we managed to rally back with a huge late goal. And we take game number 1. So that's a great offensive performance. Not the best defensive results and goaltending results, but hopefully those are to come in the next few games. So Wood from Dobson and Holmstrom. Then we had Nelson from Vetrano and Pollock. Frundell from Horvat. We had Parsonen from Gord and Pellick. So Yanni Gord with a big assist on that shorthanded unit. And Nelson from Bjorkstrand. Not too bad. Anybody get into penalty trouble? Wow, looks like the Bruins had a lot of penalties in that game. They had 5 to our 3, so we are definitely a little bit more disciplined. We did actually have a high-sticking double minor against Broberg, and one also against Bo Horvat, so there was a couple double minors in that game. So we got to be a bit more careful with our sticks going forward if possible, but not a bad first game. Nelson, the only guy with multiple points in that one for us. Any minus players? Noah Dobson was a -2, not ideal. But that's okay for now. And yeah, Sorokin was not very good in that first game for sure. Hopefully he has a good response in game number 2, because obviously we need him to play good, because I don't think our offense is going to be the main thing that wins us the Stanley Cup. We need that defensive identity that the Islanders typically have. But Nelson, the first start of the game, 2 goals, 5 hits. Miles with the second start, and Parsonen with that shorthanded goal gets the third star. So a solid start to the playoffs for us. Now let's see if we could find that defensive play a little bit, because I don't really want to get into a shootout type of mode with the Bruins, because or else I think their offense might be better in terms of scoring than ours, because Pastrnak and all that. So we don't really want to get into that type of mode with them. We want to be able to play good defensively and have some good offensive games as well if possible. So let's get to game number 2. Keep the team the same for this one. See if we're able to get another good game out of this team offensively as well. We're still on home ice, so hopefully we could use that to our advantage. And then obviously then we'd be heading to Boston for game 3. So can we take a 2-0 series lead headed to Boston? Let's find out. First period, game number 2. 1-1, I'll take it. They scored first. Mason Lohrei, of course, I shouted out that top 6 pairing for being a little bit weak and they had to score on it. But Adam Pellick answers for us. Now, what's interesting about Pellick is I think last year in the playoffs when we had a run, he actually had a series where he had like multiple goals in as well. So Adam Pellick might be more of a defensive defenseman, but he seems to pick up some good goals at key times. Shots are even 8-8. Goals are even 1-1. Let's see what happens in the second period. Second period. 2-2. Okay, so this is definitely a very close back and forth type of series, it seems like at this point. So Trent Frederick gives them the lead, and then Simon Holmstrom scores for us. So we're getting goals from a lot of different lines. Really liking that so far. We're being outshot 19-12. So far Sorokin's been pretty solid in this game. But so far Swayman for them has allowed 2 goals on 12 shots, which is probably not ideal for their confidence. Have we even had the lead yet in this game? No, we have not. So once again, we've been trailing a lot in the series so far early on. Like we only had the lead late in that last game. So we got to be a bit careful here with Boston. We can't give them too much leads or else they're going to eventually win a game. Let's see what happens in this third period. See if we could grab our first lead of the night. Come on, boys. I believe in you. Let's go. Matt Barzal gives us our first lead of the night. And he adds another one not too long later. That's literally like 20 seconds later. Actually, 40 seconds later? I don't know the math on it. Anyways, Matt Barzal with a huge third period with 2 big goals. Nicholas Obey-Kabul, the addition at the deadline. Huge game for him. Gets a nice goal to make it 5-2. And that will do it. The New York Islanders, with a great defensive effort, score 5 goals as well on 20 shots on goals. So we are going to take a 2-0 series lead. We've scored 5 goals in back-to-back games. And once again, like I said, all of our lines are basically doing our work for us, which is great. That's like one of the things that was beneficial for our team last year is we had every single line kind of helping out. So far, really liking the play. Pellick from Barzal and Horvat, Holmstrom from Dobson and Wood. Then we had Barzal from Dobson and Horvat, Barzal from Frundell Nelson, and Nicholas Obey-Kabul from Parsonen. So it seems like that fourth line did really well again, which is nice. And then obviously Barzal 3 points, Dobson 2 points. Like our superstars came to play in that one, which is exactly what we want to see. No minus players as well. And then Sorokin rocked a 929. So that's a much better game from Ilya. Hopefully he continues to do that. But much better defensive effort and the same offensive results. I like that. I like that a lot. So Barzal first star, Dobson the second star, Sorokin the third star. All right, now the question is if we can maintain this type of style going into Boston, because obviously I'd say Boston's probably one of the tougher arenas to play in. Obviously, in real life right now, the Bruins have been pretty bad. So honestly, I wouldn't say they're like the toughest arena to play in anymore, but they used to be like very tough, and our fans are obviously very passionate too. So It'll be interesting to see if we could win some games in Boston as well. Like, if we could at least take one of these two games, we have a good chance of closing out the series. But obviously, if we lose both these games, then it'll be a best of three. So we can't say that we've been dominating them fully yet. We've been outscoring them 10-6, which is still pretty close. And we've only had the lead a couple of times. Like, we had the lead late in the game number 1. Game number 2, we managed to get that lead in the third period as well. So we're having some good third period heroics, it seems like, going forward. Let's keep the team the exact same, because so far I've been liking our play a lot. So let's see if we could continue that into Boston game number 3. Let's see if we could get our lead early. Maybe we get a lead for the first time in the first period. That'd be nice. First period. 1-0 Bruins. Okay, that's not bad. We are out Jim 15-8 though, so we technically probably should have scored a goal, but it looks like maybe Swayman is finding his game in this one, because obviously Sorokin did last game. So Alexander Carrier with their goal, we're out shooting 15-8, but down by a goal. Let's not get goalied here, boys. Let's find a way to get that offense in the second period, because obviously we've scored 5 goals in back-to-back games. We definitely have the chance to do so. So can we get at least like a goal or two in the next period? Second period. 2-1 us. Brock Nelson, 2 more power play goals. Seems like Brock Nelson's pretty automatic on the power play, as I think he's got 3 power play goals in the series already. So it is a special teams duel, like Saturn Taku was mentioning, but our power play seems like it's way better this playoffs than it was during the regular season so far, which is fantastic. Shots are 29-16 in favor of us. We're only up by a goal, so that's not ideal, but I do like that we're up by at least a goal. Hopefully we can get some more insurance in this third period and then lock it down, take a 3-0 series lead here. So let's see what happens in this final 20 minutes, see if we can get some more insurance. Brock is on hat-trick watch. Can he find a way to get that hat-trick? He's been really good so far, and it's funny because I was talking to Saturn Taku yesterday on the Discord, and he was saying, hey, watch Brock, he's not going to do anything in the playoffs. And so far, he's definitely proven him wrong. Definitely proven him wrong. But I was kind of expecting him not to do much either after a great regular season, and we lock it down 2-1. We outshot them 40-30. A great performance again from Sorokin. That's exactly what I want to see. Now, Swayman played great for them too, so that was definitely another close game, but we managed to edge it out on those 2 power play goals from the Nelson, the captain basically of the team. So we have Nelson from Parsonen and Pollock, and Nelson from Holmstrom and Parsonen. So Parsonen's also been pretty good in this series. If I'm not mistaken, he should have like 4 points. So we are definitely getting goals from our stats from unlikely candidates. And it's funny because even though we won that game, we had no plus players and all minus players because both of our goals were on the power play. How much ice time is Doughty getting every game? Because I haven't even seen him show up so far. 15 minutes. I'm curious when Drew Doughty's going to start impacting the series. But Swayman gets first star for them. Not a surprise, he kept them in the game. Nelson the second star, and Sorokin the third star. But just like that, we've taken a 3-0 series lead on a good team. Can we close them out now is the question in their home building, or are we going to go to a Game 5 back on our home building? Did the HL team make the playoffs? I guess they didn't. Nope, the HL team has missed the playoffs, which I thought they were going to make it. Wait, or was that my other series that the HL team was really good? Let me double check here. I thought the HL team was good this season, though. Oh, never mind. They finished 29-34-9, and they missed the playoffs. They had some guys with okay plus minuses, but never mind. They had a lot of bad plus minuses. I could definitely see why they missed. But shout out to Solovyov and Kudobin, who might be in the NHL really soon. Very excited for those 2 guys. And then also for Pratt, excited to see what he's going to be doing once he gets to the NHL. 47 points. I don't know why he's taking so long to develop, but he's looking like an okay defenseman so far at this point in time. All right. So now the question is, are we going to be able to beat Boston in Game 4, or are we going back home for Game 5? Let's keep the team the exact same, because to be honest, everything's been working pretty good. Our first game wasn't a great defensive effort or goaltending effort from Sorokin, but we had the offense. Then we keep that offense going and play good defensively in the next game. Then we play good defensively, not so good offensively. So it's been a bit inconsistent, but we got 12 goals in 3 games, so 4 goals a game. And we're allowing basically 7 goals in 3 games, which is like 7 goals in 3 games is probably like 2.75 or some math like that. I honestly don't know the math for that, but let's see if we could close out the Bruins. Let's see if we could do it. Obviously, in real life, Jim Montgomery got fired literally yesterday as I'm recording this, 2 days before you guys probably would see this episode. So, kind of interesting because Boston probably I feel like in this series they would have already fired him if they were not similarly that good. But let's see what ends up happening. See if we could close out these Bruins. First period, game number 4. 1-1, I'll take it. Pastrnak opening the scoring. Okay, I don't know what's with Juuso Pastrnak in this playoffs, but he's off to a really good start. Hopefully he can maintain that into the next round if we get there. Charlie Coyle answers back for them late in that period. Shots are 14-11 in favor of Boston. We knew they were going to come out flying a little bit. They definitely outplayed us a little bit, but the shots are almost even. Goals are even. Anything could happen in the second period, so let's see if we could get that lead back. We've had the lead in the last 2 games in these first period, so that's good. Second period. 2-2. Okay, so it's another one of those type of games, back and forth. Toronto opens the scoring in the second period to give us a 2-1 lead. Pastrnak ties it up. I feel like that's the first goal I've seen Pastrnak score against us, but I could be wrong. I might have to look at the Bruins stats after this as well, because I think that might be Pasternak's first goal of the series, which is kind of funny. Shots are 25-23 in favor of the Bruins. It's a 2-2 game, so pretty damn even so far, just like last game. Let's see what happens in this third period, see if we could get that lead again. Third period underway. Come on, boys. Maybe Brock has more goals in him. Zadorov gives the Bruins the lead. I think he's leading them in goals this playoffs, Zadorov. I think he's got at least 2 goals against us. Morgan Geekie makes it 4-2. Okay, so they are going to win one game here at least. Now, hopefully we don't get reverse swept, because or else that would be very, very not good. And we're going to lose this game in Boston. Maybe Horvat makes it 4-3. Okay, that was close. Almost came back late. But we win. We lose this one 4-3, and we are going to a game 5. I wonder who is minus in this game. Final shots 38-34. I wouldn't say that's a bad effort, but obviously it's probably one of our worst efforts in the last while. Just barely lost that one. But Parsons from Horvat and Obey Kabul. We had Vetrano from Nelson and Dobson, and Horvat from Nelson and Bjorkstrand. But yeah, that was Pasternak's first goal of the series. Zadorov already has 2 goals. I'm pretty sure Nikita Zadorov might be leading the Bruins in goals right now, which is kind of funny. But if we look at the plus minuses, a lot of -2 players here. Mainly the second/third line, it seems like, was not great in that one. And then goaltending, Sorokin had one of his worst games again. Wasn't as bad as game 1, but damn, that kind of sucks. Bo had 6 hits in that game. Damn. Bo was trying to get our team sparked, but could not do it. Alright. I don't know if I need to make any adjustments going into the next game or not. Like, we're up 3-1. If I lose back-to-back games, maybe then I'll make some adjustments, but I don't want to do it too early and then our team starts losing even more. So let's keep the team the same going into this game, but if we lose this game, we will make some adjustments potentially for game 6. So, yeah, let's get to game 5. Waste no time. See if we can win this game and close out the Bruins. We've won both of our home games so far. Can we win another and close them out and get to round 2? Come on, boys. Don't need them to get back into the series at all. First period, game number 5. 3-0 us. That's a great period. That's a great response after last game. That's what you need from your team, is you need to, like, basically, if you have a bad game, have a good response, at least in the first period. Horvat, Wood, and Romanov score, and we're up 3-0 after the first period. That's really good. Now, hopefully we can maintain that going into the second period and all that stuff. But the shots are 15-8, so we're definitely outplaying them so far. Can we hold on to this lead in the second period and beyond that as well? Second period? 4-1. Okay, nice. Bjorkstrand made it 4-0. Lindholm gets the Bruins on the board. But we're up by 3 goals going into the third. Shots are pretty even almost, 24-17. So we have been outshooting by a little bit, but I wouldn't say by a substantial amount. Our goaltending has been good so far. Let's see what happens in this third period. See if we can lock them out and take this series. Come on, boys. Penalty kill, nicely done. Penalty killers. Power play for us. We do not score. Now we do score. Yanni Gourde gets his first goal of the series. He's had some assists, I think, but he hasn't been too good offensively so far. But that makes it 5-1. And that probably should do it at this point in time, you would think. Final few minutes. Your New York Islanders are going to take out the Bruins in only 5 games. As we head to the second round, we outshot them 34-26. We win 5-1. We scored 5 goals in 3 of those 4 wins. So I am impressed with the offense for sure. The goaltending and defense has been a bit inconsistent, but it's not been a problem, really. So we have Horvat from Frundell, Wood from Gordon and Holmstrom, Romanov from Gordon Dobson, Bjorkstrand from Pollock and Nelson, and Gord from Frundell and Pellick. 3 stars of the game. Yanni Gord, the first star, 3 points. Big performance from him. Sorokin, the second star, and Wood, the third star. 2 of our new additions to that third line were stars, which is great. So I'm really liking the way this team's simulating as compared to last year so far. And that was a good first series. Let's take a look at our player stats, and we'll also take a look at Boston's player stats as well for fun, just because I am kind of curious on how good Pastrnak did against us. And then we'll obviously see who we're playing against in the next round. Is Beck Malmsteen apparently is losing morale because of ice time. Hopefully that doesn't become a problem too much, but let's see what we got here in terms of player stats. So in terms of our player stats, forwards, Brock Nelson, 8 points in 5 games. He was -1 because 3 of his goals were on the power play. That's actually kind of funny. Then we had Horvat on just over a point per game of 6. We had Parson in point per game. That's pretty damn amazing because he's not getting that much ice time. Yeah, 10.58 a game, and he was point per game. We had Frundell under point per game, but like, look at the depth scoring. Like, there's not really anybody that didn't show up basically in terms of the offense. Like, our worst offensive player once again was Casey Cizikas. And that's the same story as last year when we were in the playoffs. I'm pretty sure he was the only forward that did not score a goal the entire playoff run. Yeah, 20 games played last year, no goals. So in his last 25 playoff games, he has no goals, which is kind of bad, but at the same time, at least he brings good defense to us. So that's kind of interesting that he hasn't scored yet. When he does score, hopefully it's like a Stanley Cup game-winning goal, because that'd be amazing. So that's our forwards. What about our defenders? Dobson's point per game of 5 assists. Pellick's got 3 points. Pollock with 3 points. Romanov with 1. So Broberg and Doughty are the only ones with no points so far, but they haven't been bad defensively, so I'll definitely take it. Obviously, if you guys want me to put Mayfield back in, we could put Mayfield back in at some point, but for now, let's keep riding with Drew Doughty. It looks like he had a fight, though. I don't know which game that was in. Let's see. No, he didn't have a fight. It says he has 5 penalty minutes, but no fight. How does that make any sense? That doesn't make any sense, because you can't get a 5-minute... Actually, maybe... I guess that could make sense. Maybe you got a 5-minute major in a game misconduct, but the game misconduct would have added more penalty minutes, so I'm kind of confused about that. Goalie-wise, anyways, Sorokin on 923. Like I said, he had 3 good games. Or maybe, yeah, 3 good games. Game 1 when we won, he wasn't super good in that one, so 3 of his 4 wins, at least, were good ones. And then his loss was not a great one, but he's been still really good, so that is great to see. I do want to take a look at Boston's stats still against us for fun. Yeah, Trent Frederick led them in points with 3 points, and he was also their best goal scorer. David Pastrnak only had the 1 goal against us in 5 games, so that was some great performance against a very tough opponent like Pastrnak. And then their defenders, Zadorov led them with 2 goals, so literally Nikita Zadorov had more goals than Pastrnak. It was only him and Trent Frederick who scored more than once. It's crazy. And then also Swayman played pretty bad. Apparently Korpisalo played part of the game. Only 8 minutes, but Swayman also played terribly against us, so that's good to see that we're able to play good against teams like that. So the question now is, who are we going to be playing in round 2, and is it a team we could beat? Obviously, we know it's going to be a tough task regardless of who we face, but let's see who we're going to end up playing. Is it going to be a team we played last year? Because it could end up being. Let's see what we got. It will be determined here shortly. Yep, it will be the Washington Capitals. I think we played them last year, didn't we? In the second round, wasn't it? I can't remember what round it was in. Let me double check here because my brain won't remember really. Yeah, it was in the second round last year. So this is like literally a rematch of last year's second round. And then whoever won this would have faced Toronto or Florida. And we obviously won that series and ended up facing Toronto or Florida. And it's the same type of thing again. So it's the exact same Final 4 teams in the Eastern Conference as last year. You also do still have Dallas playing Chicago now and Seattle playing Edmonton. So there is a realistic chance Dallas could get back to the conference finals again this year, which is interesting. All right. Well, let's take a look at what the Washington Capitals did in their first round compared to us. And then we'll take a look at their roster. Obviously, I'm kind of a bit worried now because we could have traded for Alex Ovechkin at one point. If Ovechkin's going off, this could be one of those things that we're like, damn, I wish I would have actually traded for Ovechkin. But the Caps won in 6 games in their series. We obviously won in 5. We scored 4 goals per game to their 3.33. We allowed 2.4 to their 2.83. Their power play is actually better than ours. We were actually 15% only on the power play. So despite those 3 power play goals from Brock Nelson, we didn't score a lot. We were given a lot of power play opportunities though. But 15%, they were 26.3%. Damn. So good special teams for them. Our penalty kill was perfect, though. We didn't allow a single power play goal in that first round, so that was a big thing from our shorthanded unit. And then 94.1% for the Caps. They've only allowed 1 power play goal against. All right. They only had no shorthanded goals. We had the 1 from Pastrnak. We were 3-0 on home ice and 1-1 on the road. They were 2-1 on both home and away ice. Okay. Now, the question is, what is the Caps looking like compared to us? What did they do during the regular season first, actually, because I didn't take a look at that. So they were the 3rd team that made it in the playoffs this year. They had 21 less points than us. They were pretty okay offensively, but they allowed only 1 less goal than they scored. So they're very close in both these categories, which is interesting. Their power play was only a little bit better than ours during the regular season, and their penalty kill was worse than ours. Interesting. Okay. All right, so now we got to see who is on Washington. Did they make any adjustments since last year? I know they didn't trade Alex Ovechkin because I didn't see any trade about that at the deadline. So kind of worried that Ovechkin might blow us out. And then you guys would have been like, hey, you should have actually traded for Ovi. But I didn't see a slot for him on a roster. But let's see what we got. First line, Mangiapane, Strome, and of course DeAndre Harris. How good has he been now? 78 points. That's not too bad. He's still getting better. Obviously, last year when he played against us in the playoffs, he didn't do too much against us. So far, he's just over a point per game, but he's been good. Second line has Tom Wilson and adds an 88 overall at 34. I'm kind of surprised he's that high still. PLD as well, and there is Alex Ovechkin at 42 years old. Now rocking 985 career goals. Only had 24 goals this season, only 26 last year. But in the playoffs last year, he had 8 goals. This year so far, only 2 goals in 6 games. So maybe his legs have finally fallen off, which would be good for us. Huh. Okay. Yeah, he would have been an interesting player to have on our roster, but I feel like it would just been kind of a douche move to take him away from Washington. Like, I would rather him retire in Washington, to be honest. Third line, Vladislav Nemesnikov, Alexei Protas, and another guy we got also offered with Ovechkin, which was Matt Zuccarello. He's 40 years old at this point. Damn. And a fourth line, Malcolm Spence, Connor McMichael, and Jacob Pelletier. Yeah, it's not a bad forward group. It's not as strong, I'd say, as Boston's because Harris isn't as good as Pastrnak, but it's still a pretty solid team on the offensive side of things. Defensively, Chychrun and Carlson, Zub and Sandin, and McNabb and Helge Grans. I think I saw that the other day that this guy had an assist in his NHL debut. Also had a penalty and was like a +2 or something. So shout out to Helge Grans. But that's their defensive core. That's not too bad. Definitely some of the legs are falling off though with Carlson because he's 38. Chychrun being 30, he's not really getting much better either. But it's still not too bad. Goaltending wise, they have Logan Thompson still at 31 years old and Kevin Lankinen. 919 save percentage so far in the playoffs for Thompson. Okay. And scratched, they have Ivan Marosnichenko. Andrew Cristall's scratched. Damn, I don't know why they would scratch somebody like him, but he is listed as a depth forward, but still, that's one of their top prospects, if I'm not mistaken. And then they also have Alexander Suzdaliv, so a couple of young scratched players, which is interesting. And they're relying on a lot of veterans for the most part. But obviously, Harris is the main future piece for here for the Washington Capitals, it seems like. Also, I would say Malcolm Spence, too. Because, yeah, he was the top. He was actually a pick by Buffalo, so I don't remember when he got dealt to Washington or what for, but that's interesting. So there is that. Is there anything else we want to take a look at before we end this episode? I don't think so. Is there anything I want to take a look at? Double check to make sure. I don't think so. But anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of our New York Islanders franchise mode. So in next episode, we'll have a rematch in the second round with the Washington Capitals as we look to knock out Alex Ovechkin in the playoffs again and hopefully get ourselves to a conference finals, which could end up being a rematch again as well against Toronto, or it could end up being against Florida. But regardless, we definitely still have some tough teams to go through if we want to have the chance to win a Stanley Cup this season. Say something down below, and I'll see you guys next time.